Hey, I'm Casey Truby. I'm a rancher over in Arizona. About 2 years ago, I'm sitting in my barn, and Travis is trying to get a job with me. That's where I keep my office. And my wife walks in, my bookkeeper, and she's got 12 pages of American Express bill, and she's going through it. Now, she looks at me and says, "On August, you spent $27 at American Confectionery General. What was that for?" I have no idea. So I looked in the ceiling, I looked at the hay, I made something up. And she wrote it down. And then she went to the next item and wrote it down. And this went on until she got through all 12 pages. And she walked out, "Thank you." And Travis looked at me and said, "Did you just lie to your wife?" Yes, but she knew I was lying. And she was doing something that every bookkeeper and every tax preparer does every day. They cannot remember transactions, what they spent money for or why, what the business purpose was. And consequently, they're up all night at tax season, or their bookkeeper spends about 40% of her time trying to run down, what did you spend $147 for at the Walmart? And I'm complaining, and I looked at Travis and I said, "You know what I wish? I wish I could just talk to my phone and it would go right into my accounting." And Travis lied to me. He said, "We can do that, boss." He made an assumptive close. "We can do that. Give me 4 weeks. I'll be right back." Well, that was 2 years ago. But today, we are here because we've got this working. And we've got this in several thousand accountants, and about 6,000 business owners are now using this idea of just talking to their phone. And the reason that we're here today is I need two things from y'all. One, I'm looking for banks to work with that can give me the last 4 digits on a transaction when we do the sweeps, or maybe a financial institution that thinks, our customers need this, maybe we'll private label it. So let's take a look, though, at what we're doing. Excellent. Do you want to take over, Travis?
Yes. So right here, what you're seeing is the mobile application. And what I'm going to walk through is an example of a customer, an employee at a company, going to Walmart and purchasing a printer. Now, Walmart is a very generic vendor, right? So when that transaction comes across the bank statement at the end of the month, the bookkeeper is going to have no idea what that transaction was for. So they would have to call the employee and ask them what they actually purchased. Now what I'm going to simulate is I just swiped my credit card at the cash register as that employee. I bought that printer. And then 10 seconds later, I get a notification on my phone. It looks like this right here. It says, "Hello, you have transactions in your queue." Within 10 seconds of that swipe, I click on that, and it goes right to the actual transaction. What we're doing here is we're taking data that we get from the bank itself and data that we know in the accounting software, meshing it together, and then asking the user to give us the rest of the details. What was that transaction for? All they have to do is verbally say what that was for by clicking the microphone, and then they take a picture of that receipt, and then that's what goes into the accounting software, 100% recorded. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to actually speak into the phone now. I'm going to click the microphone. That's going to turn the microphone on, and I'm just going to say, "This was for a printer for the office." Turn the microphone off. And then I'm going to take a quick picture of just the table here.
We'll pretend that was the receipt.
And then I'm going to submit that into the accounting software.
Let them see it.
Now it's coding, and it's sending it in through. And once that finishes coding, then we can pop over to the accounting software, and you can see that transaction right in the QuickBooks file. So if we could please actually switch over to the laptop feed.
So what's happening here is we're actually doing 90% of the bookkeeping function, whether it's an individual tracking for tax returns at the end of the year, or it's a small business that has a bookkeeper constantly following up and tracking and tracing what's going on.
So we see that there's a new transaction in our feed. We can see that all of the details are here. We have our vendor, the account, the date of the transaction, the category, the amount, all of that data, and the business purpose. It was picking up a little bit more because I had turned the microphone on, but you can see that that's the business purpose. And then the actual image of the receipt, let me pop this open, is right here. And we can see that that is a picture of my phone that's just sitting on the table here. Thank you, Casey.
Got it? So this is working, And now I can do my bookkeeping over my phone. But I've got a problem. This is perfect for the individual person that wants to track for tax returns at the end of the year, and that's why we wanted to talk to Credit Karma, so you can use us to do all those millions of tax returns. It's also perfect for the small business that has 1 or 2 credit card accounts. But we've got a major problem here that I need solved. If I go into a business, like a plumbing company that I was in just 3 weeks ago, 30 truck drivers, they're all using that credit card all day long to buy parts and gas and food and et cetera, and the bookkeeper cannot figure out what those charges were for. She spends half her time running that down. If I had the last 4 digits on those transactions, then I could ping the truck driver within a minute of the time he runs the card, and while he can still remember, not 3 months from now, when he can still remember, he can say, oh, that was for parts for the Smith job. Be sure you add it to the bill. And then I talked to a guy, Scott over in Phoenix, who has 100 salesmen all over the country. And he's actually using the ink card from Chase because it will ping individually, but they still can't do purpose of the transactions. So if one of you could give me the last 4 digits, I think that my thousands of accountants that I've worked with for the last 30 years, I think they would love to take your business credit card out to their clients and say, this is going to be the biggest time saver ever. The value proposition here, I've listened to all these guys, value proposition to the bank. This value proposition is to the customer. The value lies with the customer here. Thank you.